What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the DGD Podcast, part of the Fans First Sports Network. New announcement there, folks, for those listening and watching. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. I'm your host, Robert Reynolds. That's my guy, Dan Kiley. Dan, what's going on, man?
Just got back from my son's basketball game. Sorry for the delay. That's Robert postponed the show for me. So don't blame him, blame me. But thank you for waiting and ready to talk some football.
Well, listen, when basketball comes into town and it's high school basketball, right? Got to do what you got to do. So, fair enough. Folks, Georgia finishes off conference play. Now we turn our eyes to UMass. Don't let this game just be a sleeper, okay? 12:45 SEC Network this Saturday. But you'll be surprised at what you can take away from a game like this, right? You just finished 8 straight games within your conference, and we're going to talk more about that. Also, y'all know how it is. DGD Pick'em Picks of the Week and your best bets for those trying to make a little bit of cash for the weekend. First things first, turn our page to UMass. Georgia, only 2 losses through the conference play. Can't be mad about that. Cannot be mad about that considering the circumstances. While we're at it, seems like this has been a hot topic, Dan. Playoff rankings. Georgia only moves up 2 spots after beating Tennessee 31-17. Don't know how to feel about that, to be honest. It is what it is, but don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah, I don't necessarily like it. I mean, you have a win against I think Tennessee was 7, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
So they were number 7 and they fall to 11. However, Georgia was 2 and falls all the way to 13 or 14 or whatever the hell it was. Like, I don't there is no consistency, so there is nothing to understand. But at the same time, it's just kind of bullcrap. But they're winning because it's a television product. We know that, but we keep falling for it. None of this matters until the end. And they have shown us time and time again that where you are the week before matters not when they're putting the teams in for the final play. We know it's not going to be the best 12 teams. We just have to – you have to know that and just accept it and then just move on. Yeah, I'm probably lagging, Kobe. My internet's been shit lately.
It is what it is, sir. We'll figure that out. Must be that Georgia connection or something. I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't too big of a fan. Yeah, I wasn't too big of a fan of the 10 spot right there, though. Considering and we already had our Tennessee recap, and I'm not going to go too much further into that just because. But I thought we played really the most complete game to date, but we didn't nearly the recognition of it. But it is what it is. Just went out. All right, just went out. Let's turn our attention to UMass. UMass already played a bunch of SEC teams this year, so it's not necessarily something they're going to be, I guess you could say, not familiar with at this point. I will say, though, that it's also they haven't played Georgia until this year, this game. Just going to be honest. I'm expecting an ass whooping on this one. If you don't, there's some questions there.
Well, you're right. It should be an ass whipping. The win is inevitable. However, that's not really his MO. Yeah, you're right. That's a great recap. But it's not really Kirby's MO. When he knows he's the superior team, he doesn't typically rub your nose in it like some other coaches do. Like he's not, and I love Lane Kiffin, so I'm not taking a shot at Lane Kiffin. I'm just saying Lane will beat you 70-0 because Lane enjoys that. Kirby has never really shown the inclination to do that. That's why I see a lot of people taking Georgia in the 42 points and they're like, easy win. Hell, I don't know. How many times have we seen Kirby get the lead and just milk it? I don't know. Robert, you said it should be a blowout. Georgia's going to win handily, but I don't I mean, I don't know what your definition of blowout is. If you say 38-0, yeah, I can see that. I don't see 70-0.
This is what my gut tells me, Dan.
Mhm.
Kirby has been actively talking and somewhat criticizing subliminally the committee, right? Because he doesn't know what to go off of. Tell me why, when you have the opportunity now, this has been going on for a few weeks now. I could see it to where Kirby, generally speaking, does not do this. He will not run the score up, right? Like ridiculously. Part of me wonders if we get a Kirby that's petty as shit this week just because he wants to stick it to the committee. Not saying it will. I think he values the other team and respects them enough. You know what I'm saying? But part of me wonders deep down, will we get that kind of Darth Kirby, if you will? You know what I mean? But we'll see.
I would love to see it. I just don't know if we're going to. But anything can happen, and like you said, it's very unpredictable. And he is a little salty right now. The only thing I think will prevent that from happening is they fired their coach, and I don't think Kirby is very human, and he doesn't like to do anything to hurt the kids on the other team. You know what I mean? Like if it's Tennessee, he doesn't give a shit. But like when the other team is an inferior opponent, he doesn't like rubbing their nose in it. But like FSU, he had no problem doing that, and thank God, we love it, right? TCU, no problem doing it because that was a national championship game. Like, but so you get my point. Like when there's stakes on the line, there's no prisoners being held. But like whenever the other team's an inferior opponent, I just haven't really seen him do that to anybody. But there's a first time for everyone. If he dies, he dies.
Yeah, no, that was that. I was sitting there looking at that, and that Monday when he got fired, I was like, oh boy, here we go. Mm-hmm. I do want to kind of look into this. This is going to be a game where you have the expectation for everybody to play, and honestly, the question is, it should not be who plays, but who does not play. Because I think it's more telling if you don't play in a game like this than if you do.
Correct.
Like I think that's the interesting facet of it. Listen, we've seen, against Tennessee, you saw Nitro come out and play, things like that. But this is a very good opportunity. Yes, sir.
There was a member of the show last week who predicted the Nitro sighting.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did do it. You want to go solo?
And one of our favorite contributors, I just went blank. What's the guy who does the pick'ems?
Hightoff?
Yeah, said no, you ain't gonna see him. Woo, Gallon Nitro. Listen, that boy's nasty on NCAA 25.
I mean, hell, to be fair, I like this get off his release off the ball too.
Mm-hmm.
We'll stay on we'll stay on Nitro, man. I think this is a game where you could really see him get in rhythm with Carson and probably the backups. I mean, do you think that's too far of a stretch? Like, I mean, I think you can see Nitro play early, not just.
I don't think Nitro's really a backup anymore, Robert. I think he's starting to earn reps, and that's something that we were talking about in our show last week. Remember, was some of these second tier guys who are starting to work their way into the rotation. I mean, I think Nitro is one of those guys, and then Scovey White is kind of the other one that we've really been waiting for.
Yeah.
He has had some opportunities to get in the game, but those are two guys that we need to see a little bit of flash from here soon. Obviously they have time to develop, and they're both freshmen, and we're neither one of us are sinking their careers before they get started. But it would be really nice to see. But all right, so wide receivers is the place that we get to see some youth. We have already seen a lot of youth at the running back position because of necessity. I really liked the fact that we didn't really rotate the offensive line this week and kind of let our five guys just work together. But I think this is obviously an opportunity for that whole entire second line to get in there together. The biggest question offensively for me, Robert, and I would love to hear your take on it, is the workload split between Gunnar and Rashada. Because I'm sure he has, but I cannot recall a game where Rashada's gotten in. Has he?
I don't think so yet. No. Honestly, this season.
Or is this a red shirt?
It might be a red shirt. I think he red shirted last year at Arizona State, though, so I don't know if you can red shirt. I want to say we haven't seen him play, but at the same time, we haven't been in many games that allowed him to do it either.
Correct.
Or Gunnar for that matter too. So that's kind of a a little bit of a downfall there too. But I guess I want to stick on this too. I'm sitting here looking at it in a sense that I think you can legitimately give a lot of these guys that you had the red shirt for. This is a game where you just sit there and just play them. You just go play them.
Because you get 5, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
so
no,
you get
4.
5.
You get 4. You get 4.
4. Okay, you get 4 games
4.
now, and to your point, our schedule has been so heavy this year that there's not really been a lot of opportunities. I would love to see Jalen get in the game, but my biggest question is, like, I watched Gunnar play in high school. I called some of his games on the radio, so I know who he is, and I know how well he can do things. My biggest question was always for Gunnar, whenever he played a team with equal or better talent, he didn't play that well. Like, go look at the games where they played Jefferson versus the games where they played anybody else. He was Superman in the other games, and then the games he played Jefferson, he was good. I mean, I'm not coming on here trying to say he's not good. I'm just saying he just wasn't Superman, right? So Rashada's got game tape, man, from a year playing at Arizona State. I want to see him in a game because I think that's a really interesting conversation for obviously down the road because we got so much more to go. But, we've seen Gunnar play and he hasn't been disappointing, but we haven't seen anything from Rashada. And I want to see what he looks like in that Georgia Bulldog uniform. And I'll take it even one step further, and I don't think this is going to happen, but Pug. I would like to see. I mean,
I would love to see all the guys get in.
Pug looks great in that uniform. Mm-hmm. He looks great in that uniform. Oh, number 12 ain't never looked so good.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I think this would be a good game to hopefully see all the quarterbacks at least get some kind of run. I think you're going to see Gunnar at the 2, right? But at the same time, I want to see Rashada. Huh?
How many drives do you think for Gunnar?
Honestly, I think you want him to operate the offense just in the instance, but if you don't see him operate the offense, that's going to be telling his shit to me.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Kobe, you're
no way. Kobe, Jesus.
I don't know.
That source did not say that.
Is my comment posting twice? That's weird.
It is, but it is what it is.
Yeah, right.
We ride. We move.
Thanks, StreamYard.
Absolutely. Kobe thinks that he's got 1 with starters, 2 with the second team, I guess, in regards to drives.
I would love to see that. I would love to see a drive with starters. That's Kobe, that would be fantastic to actually get to see that, what that looks like.
Yeah, that's former Georgia great Kobe Pierce, by the way,
who never shows up for the freaking podcast. I swear, he has something against me. Kobe, you have something against me. Every time I'm on, you're like, I'm out.
I live for the chaos. Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. He's just mad. He's just mad because he ain't caught me in the standings yet.
Oh. Also, I'm looking forward to seeing Dwight Phillips in this game. If we're staying with
that's your guy, right? Your running back.
Honestly, I want to see Bowens and Phillips. I just think in this game you can see a jet sweep or something on an end around to Dwight Phillips and just hit a home run. Just give me that. Just
Why
give it to me.
Why can't he go up the middle?
I mean, you could, I guess. I just think he's better to get out in speed.
Is he a speedster?
Oh, absolutely. Dwight Phillips?
Okay. I told you I don't know recruiting like you do.
Dwight Phillips is arguably the fastest guy on the team. Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Well, I on our show on Monday, or on Wednesday, I talked about I want to see Nate Frazier go off. Like I know he's talented, but it's kind of funny. It's kind of gone full circle for me, right? Like when Georgia was running the hell out the ball, I was like, I would love to see Georgia throwing the ball, blah, 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 blah. You know what I miss so much, Robert? And I just can't believe it's coming out of my mouth. I miss a 70-yard touchdown run. I mean, I was watching.
Buddy, they're so fun. They're so fun.
I was watching a highlight tape that somebody put together, and I wish I could give them credit because it was really good on Twitter the other day. And yes, I called it Twitter. I refuse to call it X. It's so stupid. But anyway, it was so the clip was before Georgia fan was being cool, right? It was like the 80s, 90s, and 2000s or whatever. Some highlights. And there was the run from it was against Georgia Tech. It was Caleb King going right up the middle for like 70-something yards.
Oh, yeah.
And then, I mean, it was a Gurley run that was real long. It was like all these Georgia staples.
Swift. I mean, you had Swift, Chubb, you name it. Oh, yeah.
All these long runs. And I was like, when is the last time we freaking saw a Georgia running back break off
a
long run?
What about a punt return or a kick return? I remember the days of Boykin, right?
Boykin and Isaiah McKenzie. You know, Boykin's a good call. Dude, Boykins is a really freaking good call. I think people forget how freaking good that guy was.
That dude was electric, man.
Yeah, he was.
Brandon Boykin, you're always welcome on this show.
Mm-hmm.
No questions asked. On site. Just welcome on the show.
I saw at the game this past weekend, you had TK and No-Shawn together. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good. They do a good show too, man. With Aaron and Ben as well. Dude, it's so fun to listen to that. It's always a good conversation to listen to.
No-Shawn was such a fun running back to watch, too.
Dude, that's who got me to be a dog, man.
Was it really?
That Arizona State dive, buddy. Keep in mind, being in North Carolina, like back in the day, but 07, 08, growing up, we had the 3:30 games, and that was it. And listen, you ain't watching Raycom Sports for ACC football. That shit was trash. Despicable stuff. So it was always 3:30, but then, it started getting out and venturing into more people's houses when ESPN was really more prevalent and more accessible to me. Man, sure enough, went out there to Tempe and he did that dive. I was like, I'm sold. Because I already liked Stafford as it was, but No-Shawn did that. I was like, whew. Got me hot and bothered. I was like, there it is. I'm sold. So, yeah, it's always fun to listen to No-Shawn and the guys. But speaking of, I guess, looking at tight ends, the big three, right? Jurasik, Delp, Lucky, all had a really good game against Tennessee. I'm interested to see how much run we get with Riddell because, and shout out Mama Riddell for being an avid listener to the show. Definitely a specimen, and I think he's going to be a good one. And I'm just looking for him to get some run for sure. Which, by the way, I saw some comments earlier. Where was it? Here's Kobe's list of people that he's excited to see get some burn: Gunnar and Rashada, Ellis Robinson, Sam Mpemba, Big Ja, and Jaden Riddell. Speaking of, now Big Ja actually got in against Tennessee, made some good plays, ate the space that he needed to allow Kristen to do his work too. Can't be mad about that. Also, I think we're gonna see, in my opinion, when it comes to starters, I think Daniel Harris may have overtaken Julian Humphrey.
So I didn't track it, but they said that when Humphrey came out of the game, he didn't go back in the rest of the game. Nope. Kirby was fucking pissed.
Well, I think when you look at Tennessee's aerial attack they force feed the ball to attack a DB that's, I guess you could say, nervous or panics.
Mm-hmm.
First sign of panic, he took him out, and Daniel Harris didn't sweat it, so you just rode with it.
Did we see Ellis at all?
I don't think so in that game. I don't believe so. No. Don't believe so.
I mean, to your point, Daniel Harris came in and did a great job. They really, I mean, I heard some people commenting that, the defensive performance wasn't great. And I was like, what exactly did you expect? Because that Tennessee, I mean, okay, maybe if you want to nitpick the first couple drives, okay, I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, and like Harrison used the term bend but don't break. And I'm like, I don't even know if it was that, because that freaking offense is so freaking electric that to shut them out is a Herculean effort in the second half. Like, I mean, I know that we gave up some plays
you went
here
on.
and there.
You went on a 31-7 run. So
No kidding, bro. Like, I've always said that I love being a Georgia fan, but I can really hate being a Georgia fan sometimes when you get in those chat rooms and stuff like that. And that's why I really don't ever go in there, because they will absolutely drive you mad. Because there are just some Georgia fans, and I'm sure that there are fans that are exactly like this in every fan base, even the UMass fan base probably. It just doesn't matter what happens. They're never going to be happy. Like in the Texas game, right? I mean, we talked about the Texas game, probably one of the best defensive performances we've seen in recent memory, right? Just an amazing defensive effort, but there were still people complaining like, oh, well, our offense wasn't good enough. It's like, bro, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. A setup in the second half, not good enough for you anymore. You're damn right, Kobe. I mean, again, there's just some people that will never be happy. Now, I will tell you that first quarter was tough to watch. It was like, I was like, oh boy,
well,
here we go.
Well, honestly though, and I know we're kind of getting back into this Tennessee review partially. I want to, once we get done with this, I do want to transition this back to
you're good.
The review or preview, excuse me. I will say this though, Carson Beck, if he plays like he did starting from like the end of the first quarter after that pass to Dom, right, for like 38 yards or whatever. If you get that Carson Beck for the remainder of the season, and if that transitions over into the playoffs, yeah, I'll take that.
All day and twice on Sunday.
Yep. I'm also looking ahead to this game right here. Honestly, I think you look at the starting five from Tennessee being the same starting five, and I'm okay with that. There's no reason to switch it at this point. If Ernest Green is hurt, there's no reason to play him. You need him healthy, if you will. I think you see that with a lot of guys. You might see some guys out just because. We'll see. ETN, don't expect him back at this point. So
cool. Can we just mention that Monroe Freeling did an amazing job at left tackle?
Absolutely. Kobe saying that one of his best friends hit him with the "damn we suck" text in the first quarter. Hit him with just a W after the game. That's an epic troll. I love it. I love that. Let's switch over to the defensive side of the ball. When it comes to this game, like I said, I expect us to do some good things. Who are you most excited to see on the defensive side of the ball playing this Saturday? I think there's a laundry list of them, but at the same time, I'm just give you the mic and let you roll for the couple.
Well, so like you said, there's a couple different guys that we're going to be excited to see. The freshman linebacker Justin Williams. I just every time I see him, I get excited. I think the sky's the limit with that kid. And then I won't come off of it. Ellis Robinson. I want to see him as much as I can. I mean, a kid that talented, he's only going to be here 3 years, and it's like we just completely wasted one of them, and so we only get him for 2 more. I just want to see him every chance I get, and then I want to see some of the young defensive line players get in there. I know that we've had a nice little rotation, but I want to see some of these guys get some burn, and I want to see them really put some pressure up front defensively. You can never have enough of the defensive linemen, in my opinion, ever. And I really want to see some of those young guys. But is it Chris Colt? Kobe put it. Is that the other linebacker?
That's 18. Yeah, he plays early though too, but I think you do see him play more throughout the game. Give me Chris Jones as well. I'd like
Which
to see
one is
Chris
that?
Jones. Or Chris Jones is one of another freshman. Maybe you get to see him, maybe you don't. I do want to make sure we don't overlook a guy like Troy Bowles in this game. Definitely think that'll be interesting to see there. Get him some burn. I'm looking at the D line though, man. Give me the guys like Gabe Harris. I think this is a Gabe Harris game on that D line, where he can just wreak havoc, right? Especially once he gets his full reign on the twos or whatever it is. You'll see a lot of rotation, I think, on the defensive side of the ball, especially the front side or front four for sure. I think you have to get these guys some extra reps against somebody else, right? Maybe
what are some of the other young decent secondary players? I know, like
secondary.
Yeah, second, because I know KJ plays he basically starts now.
Yeah, DeMelo Jones, Chris Peel, if he's healthy enough, Kyron Jones, those guys. Yeah, you see, fucking Jake Pope, Ja'Cory Thomas again.
Yeah, it just seems like a lot of those secondary players don't ever get in the game, so it's like you forget about them, and that's you don't mean to do that.
No, it's just like the fact that it's just the testament to how we played this year, and we haven't played enough blowout games to get those guys a ton of reps outside of the normal rotation.
Like out of sight, out of mind kind of deal.
Yeah, kind of. You don't want it to see that way, but that's kind of what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like I probably, went a couple of weeks without even thinking about Justin Williams, and then like when we were talking about this UMass game, I was like, man, this is a game where that guy can get some real playing time.
I mean, Mpemba, like Kobe said in the comments, Mpemba, you haven't really heard him a lot, and now's a good time to see it. I think, if you look at it against the twos, I'd like to see a guy like Nnamdi Egboka, see how his development's come around.
So let me ask you this question. This would be a fun
Quintavious Johnson, by the way, too. Give me that.
Kind of like a little fun exercise. Is there one player that has a point to prove on Saturday? Offense or defense? Is there one player that you would say has a point to prove?
There's some going in my head for sure. I'm gonna go to the offensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be early, and I think it's Carson Beck.
Okay.
I just think that if anything, I know people aren't going to look at it this way because it's UMass and this and that. But what I want to see is Carson Beck come out, just throwing dimes, comfortable, show, hey, I'm right. My protection's better, whatever the case may be. We're good to go. Settle the crowd because you're on the high, but reassure now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get it's UMass, but you've got UMass and you got Georgia Tech before the playoffs. Show us that get confident, build chemistry. Like I said, I want to see Nitro Tuggle get some more run, right? Especially if Dylan Bell might be out, right?
Right.
Get them some chemistry. I thought there was a play that was an incompletion, but it showed a lot of promise for Nitro. His release off that go route, right? Carson fades him out. I think that will come in time, right? Nitro hasn't really played much at all. This was the first game I saw him. There you go. So
I have a twofold answer for you. And it's funny because it's on the same side of the ball as you. I think offensively, Aaron Smith has a point to prove because he has now started 2 football games this season on the first play that could have been massive plays for Georgia and dropped the football. So I think he has something to prove. He needs to have a really good – and then the other one is we saw Nitro kind of break out a little bit, and then Scovie White. I think Scovie White needs to have a day. Just needs to have a day. I think this is an opportunity for him to get a couple touches and really make some plays. I think it would be really big for Scovie White to have a day.
Yeah, no doubt. Listen, before we continue, I do want to say we've got a ton of viewers, got 138 across platforms. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and follow wherever you are. Share this out, by the way. Whether you're a Georgia fan, college football fan, share it out. Listen, we're new to the Fans First Sports Network, so we hope you enjoy this content. All right, I know we've got some viewers over there. If you want to, go to our website. You can see that down there, dgdpodcast.com. Find out all about us. I know we're new faces. We're friendly, unless you're a Gator fan or an Auburn fan. But we're not going to bite just yet. I promise. That already happened. So you got lucky.
Fan friendly too. Jump in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a question? We will answer it. We will absolutely answer it. And listen, also, don't think we forgot about you, Spotify and Apple Podcasts and podcast listeners. Just leave us a rating and review. Okay? Simple as that. But in the meantime, Kobe in the chat was talking about Quintavious being massive as shit, and saw him covering kicks and was fearful for the balls. Dude, Quintavious is a freak in nature too. He's a freak. He's a freak.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I do think this game, it's going to be interesting because I do think it kind of foreshadows, right, a little bit of who doesn't play. I think that's something to look out for. And I don't necessarily like doing it, but I think there is some writing on the wall if you don't play this Saturday. I hate doing it, but business is business, and that just is what it is.
You're not wrong.
So keep that in mind too. Definitely keep that in mind.
I think that's a great point by you, because there are certain games on the schedule where, like my son was a backup quarterback, right? So you look on the schedule and you're like, there are certain games where you expect him to play, and if he doesn't play in that game, then fortunately for us, we didn't have to cross that bridge. But you know what I mean? It's like there's expectations, and there's guys on that football team that have expectations, and if they're not playing, there's a bigger story. And I think you nailed that, Robert. That's a great point that you illustrated.
I mean, there should be no reason why you don't play to some degree, right? Yeah, it's just not that. Let's do this. Let's do, from a key to victory standpoint, what does Georgia need to show you to win this game Saturday?
They need to get off the bus and not miss game time.
Okay,
but
fair enough.
But my biggest takeaway for this game is so I'll rephrase it. Instead of what is a takeaway or what is the key to victory, what will I see to be happy?
What are your expectations for Saturday? Maybe.
Yeah, I want to see Georgia run the football, and somebody mentioned in our comments that Georgia may not run the football because they're not really healthy in the running back room, but I want to see Georgia run the football. I want to see him pound the shit out of somebody for one time. But I know there's the other half want to see Carson throw it, like you, for example, want to see Carson throw the ball all over the yard. But that's one thing we really haven't seen is just Georgia mash the crap out of somebody. I want to see that. And then defensively, I don't want to see us play to their standard. I want to see us play to our standard.
Kobe has a good one. Kobe has a good key to victory as well.
God almighty.
I will say this. What I want to see is massive human beings. This is a game for massive human beings to come and impose their will. I have two names. Both start with Ja. You know my guy, Big Ja. I'm a Jamal Jarrett. Yes. I expect him to dominate. At the same time, I'm going to flip it around and say, Ja Jackson. Let me see that 6'10" tackle. Freaky stuff. Freaky stuff. Let's do this. Who do you think is going to be? Let's do the game. Players of the game. Who do you got as player of the game? Do one of you can do each side of the ball if you want.
No, oh boy, that's tough, man. Because it shouldn't be this tough, but man, that's tough. I'm probably Carson Beck. I mean, to your point, I think Kirby is fully on board with Carson of destroying the narrative. You know what I mean? I haven't seen Kirby rally this hard behind anybody in particular And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody else has a different perspective. But to me, I really feel like Kirby has rallied behind Carson, and he has really tried to make it a concerted effort to really prop him up. Like, I don't even remember that being the case with Stetson, and I think that's probably why Stetson had such a negative attitude when he left the program, is that he felt like Kirby never really fully had his back.
Yeah.
And maybe this is Kirby learning this lesson, right? Is that fair to put A and B together there? But he's 100% had Kirby's or Carson's back, and it wouldn't surprise me, to your point, which you made earlier in the episode, that he might just turn Carson loose and be like, you know what, let it fly, my boy. And that could happen.
Give me a petty Kirby Smart. I'll take that.
Yeah, there you go.
What about defensive side of the ball? Who do you got as your player of the game?
Warren Brinson. I think he's going to absolutely just destroy people. And he had a really good game against Tennessee too.
He did. I guess it's time for mine. I'm gonna start defense and then work back offense. I think defense. Right. There's several names going through my head right now.
It's not so easy, is it?
No, because there's so many guys that I'm expecting to play. That's what makes this difficult if you're thinking about this type of game. I think this is a good KJ Bolden game. Get him a nice pick. Get him a nice return off of it, right? If Nico throws that ball up last week, that's a pick, maybe a pick six. I just get this feeling he's going to get this pick. He's going to come down. He's going to play hard. He's going to strike. There's going to be some havoc this Saturday. I think KJ Bolden reaps the benefits of it.
Nice to see.
No, it would. It definitely would. I mean, I want you to understand. Just because I say KJ Bolden does not mean that none of these other guys could do that, because anybody is up for this type of thing. Anybody.
Not reading into it, brother. Like you said, there's so many freaking names that come to your mind.
This might be the farthest one from being right, but yeah. Welcome to the UMass game, I guess. Offense. Oh man, this is me thinking with my emotions and not my brain. Give me Dwight Phillips, man. Give me Dwight Phillips on a huge end-around house call. It's either going to be him or Nitro. I think Nitro could have a breakout game. And if you get Nitro breaking out on a game like that, get that receiver that we've been missing, man, that's gonna be more impactful. But I would just love to see Peanut get a down 75-yard end-around touchdown untouched. Would be just absolutely wild. Kind of reminds me of Brock Bowers on that jet sweep or the end around. Buddy, that shit was crazy. Any final thoughts on this before we wrap this part up?
No, I mean, listen, my biggest takeaway, and I know this is so lame, my biggest takeaway or my biggest hope for all of these games is please don't let anybody get hurt.
Yeah, I was about to say, I figured that was coming.
Yeah, it's just like this is a game where the end or the win is inevitable, right? Mm-hmm. But we want to see some young guys get opportunity. We want to see our guys continue to play well. We want to see us continue to peak and ascend every single game, get a little bit better. It's difficult in games like this to keep up the level of intensity, but start fast, play with a lot of intensity, and please, for God's sakes, don't get hurt. The end.
Yeah, no doubt. I do want to touch on this before we move over to picks and best bets. Dawgs, that Vol win generated some momentum. First things first, after the game, you pick up a 2026 commitment, Lincoln Keys. Saw that guy's tape, and buddy is like that. Todd Hartley strikes again. No, it's 2026 kid. We'll talk more about that as we move on. But then, obviously, earlier today, right, Chase Linton, edge rusher, commits to Georgia. Trolls, Rutgers, and Georgia Tech, by the way. Don't know if you got to see that or not, but it was a quality troll there. I love it when I see Georgia Tech getting trolled. Just going to leave that there. Anytime you see it, it's fun for me.
Never upset by it.
I mean, and if you're not familiar with Chase,
he was good enough to catapult Georgia back into that number 1 spot.
Yeah, Georgia gets the top spot. So if you're not familiar with Chase Linton, out of North Atlanta High School up in Atlanta, 6'4", 215, top 100, just outside the top 100, within the top 125, edge rusher. And watch this tape, buddy's good. Definitely looking at, you're looking at the situation with Darren Eckenigban, Isaiah Gibson at the edge spots, and looking at Coach Uzo. You know what I'm saying? Also, Georgia offers a kid late Saturday night, Dennis Uzochukwu. Georgia's Uzochukwu. Yeah. Kid is, you would never believe me. No one would probably believe me. I think a top 200 player committed to Georgia State.
Really?
Yeah. Offered comes in late Saturday night. Got some info for you over on the Patreon if you're curious. Patreon.com/DGD Podcast, or you can check out the website dgdpodcast.com, and then go find out our Patreon there. Got some intel over there on that one. Yeah. So heavy recruiting, guys. Also, just under 2 weeks, or actually 2 weeks from yesterday, first day of early signing day. So shit's getting crazy out there, right?
2 weeks away?
Yeah, for early signing day,
Holy
December 4th.
Hell.
Oh yeah. You got
Speaking of that, I haven't done any Christmas shopping. I'm screwed.
Man, you better be looking like Clark Griswold. You better hurry up. Merry Christmas, shitter's full.
Yeah, buddy.
But no, definitely think it's listen, if you keep up with the world of recruiting, just instant before right around 7:30, number one overall in the country, Bryce Underwood flips to Michigan from LSU. Interesting situation. I think there's another kid that's committed to LSU that Georgia's taking a look at, and I think they got a shot.
You know what? If you're Bryce Underwood, that makes all the sense in the world. Michigan has 0 quarterbacks on that roster. He is going to walk in the door and start day one.
And they offered themselves, or Dave Portnoy offered that man a lot of money to help out with recruiting, NIL wise. So go make your money, kid. Can't be mad about it. Can't be mad about that.
But sometimes things just line up, and that's perfect.
Harry's asking 12-19 or 12-09. What are we talking about there? So I can clarify. But while we wait for that to happen, by the way, the show is brought to you by our guys over at Alumni Hall. Guys, it's cold outside. At least in North Carolina it is. So what better time, I should say, start getting geared up with hoodies, long sleeve shirts, beanies and toboggans, fire pits. They've got fire pits. Get you a Yeti for some hot coffee in the morning, coffee mugs. All stuff is licensed, by the way. Do us a favor. Go to our website, dgdpodcast.com/alumni hall. Shop our website or shop their website through ours, and 8% of your order will go to the Classic City Collective. So you're supporting them dogs. Or do yourself a favor. Go to the store in Athens. Mention the DGD podcast. Get yourself 10% off your order in store. So shout out to Alumni Hall for supporting the show there. Harry says recruiting signing day, 12-19 or 12.
Oh, he was asking if it's December 19th or the 9th.
I think it's early signing day. I think it's a 4th. Maybe. I don't know. I have to look it up. Trust me, we'll be on the case.
Don't ask me about recruiting signing day.
Actually, let's do that. What do you know about recruiting? What's the latest on recruiting?
Nothing. I got nothing.
Them dogs is hell. That's the extent of Dan Kiley and recruiting.
You know what? Like before my kid was in high school playing football, like I really did follow recruiting, and I could tell you every single player, where they were from, blah blah blah. But like now, I'm so wrapped up in him, in his career, I don't have time for anybody else. I just don't.
Well, you're going to have your own recruiting here soon, so we know how that goes.
I do.
Anyways, that's all we got for the preview. All right, Dawgs staying hot on that recruiting trail. Got a lot of intel coming in before early signing day. It's going to be a busy one. Make sure you're set up. DGDpodcast.com. Navigate the website. You'll find anything you need. If you have any questions, dgdpodcast.com/contact. You can ask any question there. You will get an answer. It's very easy, folks. Just use our website. It is the one-stop shop. And again, with Fans First Sports Network, if you're on those networks, if you're on the Facebook, you're on the YouTube channel, do us a favor, check out our website, get to know us, right? Since we're new. And we are your Georgia content. So Dan, other than that though, I think that's all we've got for UMass. I need a question to ask. Where's Swolders? Swolders. If anybody doesn't know, that is Kobe Pierce. Just gonna let that be known.
Where is Keon?
Good question. Don't know. Wanta Claus is getting ready for Christmas, as expected.
APB out on our two show members that are not here.
They'll never know. And just let it be known. This is what we do for all the new folks. This is what we do. So chime in the chat. Trust me, you'll have fun here. You'll fit in. With that being said, stick around for a quick break. We're on the flip side of that. We will be dropping Week 13 picks, recapping the standings, giving you some best bets to go. Get ready for Saturday. Stick around after this quick break. And we're back. Folks, Week 13. Kind of interesting here, right? Kind of interesting. But at the same time, there's some interesting games in the SEC specifically that I'm looking forward to, and I think you will too. So without further ado, it's time for the DGD Pick'ems for Week 13. Got to recap last week and the standings. So through week 12, here are your standings. Dan, you are 88-42 with 80, or excuse me, Juan is 88-42 with 83 points. Keon is 95-35, 109 points. Kobe is 94-36 with 110 points. I am 95-35, 91 points. Dan, you are 97-32 with 113. You are the leader by 2 points. Brigade and Jaden, 89-41 with 111 points. For those that are curious, we will break these down for you. If you're unfamiliar, DGD Pick'ems, 10 games randomly picked. You also have Jaden's Game of the Week, in which my son will pick a game and pick for the chat. Well, the Twitter polls. He will pick on behalf of those. The group has no say in that game. The scoring goes as this. Each game, 1 point if you're correct, 0 points if you're wrong. For Jaden's Game of the Week, if Jaden is accurate, hits correct, that's 3 points for the Brigade. If he is wrong, it is 0. Then you have a lock and an upset where you can get up to 2 points each, and you could also lose 2 points as well. You can wash out too. This is where the point system that we just showed gets very, very tricky. Yes, very, very tricky. Star Wars is saying he's back from his Auburn. Can't be mad about that, sir. Welcome back. Welcome back. Now, with that being said, we're going to get started with the first game of the week. Probably the most important game of the week, too. That's Indiana, undefeated Indiana, taking on Ohio State in Columbus. I kind of get a feeling where this is about to go. I kind of get a feeling this is about to be bad. The panel has spoken. it's a clean sweep for the Buckeyes. Being honest here, I think Indiana's about to get blown the fuck out.
Thank God. Oh my God. Thank God. I've been listening to people all week tell me about how this is going to be a close game. And I'm like, if Robert comes on here trying to spill that bullshit about it's going to be a 1 or 2 point game, I'm going to lose my mind. Thank God.
I'm looking at it this way. Rourke isn't a bad quarterback, but what their defense hasn't seen is an offense with a pulse.
Well.
And Ohio State has a good one. So, good luck, Indiana. Your playoff hopes could rely on this. If you're Joey Galloway, you might just sit Curtis Rourke too. But I digress. Either way, dumb mistake I think I've heard all year since. There's been some wobbles. But, yeah, that was bad. Ohio State. I think we all have Ohio State. Listen, I don't think it's close. I don't think it's close. Just don't see it. So clean sweep there. Next matchup, Army taking on Notre Dame. That's another overrated school, in my opinion. Notre Dame taking a loss to Northern Illinois. By the way, just lost this week too, as well. But, don't want to hear that. Right? They're playing good football, right? Well, in comes Army. Ranked Army, might I add. Looking to spoil some hopes. All right. The panel has spoken. I'm rolling with Army on this one, Dan. I'm rolling with Army. Everyone else, Keon, Kobe, Juan, Dan, and the Brigade. Jaden picked this one, by the way, because there was a tie in the Twitter poll. Jaden goes with Notre Dame. Now, the reason I've got Army, I'm looking at that quarterback, and I think that he is a problem. And I think he will be a problem for Notre Dame.
Well, let me just tell you, let me add some spice to this. Okay, this game in the 30s, 40s, and 50s was a major game where Army, Navy, Notre Dame were the top 3 teams in the country. This is the first time since 1958 that Army has played Notre Dame where both teams were ranked. This is a nostalgic game for a lot of people.
This is Jim Crow football right here.
My grandfather is up in heaven right now, just looking down, and he has got the biggest smile on his face about to watch this game. So,
back in my day, Sean.
But my grandpa played for Notre Dame, so I mean that it's he would always tell me about the Army Navy games. So I think it's gonna be fun.
At least I'm not alone. No, I just think that quarterback, dude, that Army quarterback is good. And it's a triple option, so good luck trying to defend.
Do you know who the Army coach is, right?
I'm trying to think. Off the rip, I do not know.
Monken's brother.
Ooh. Jeff Monken.
Yep.
Ooh. I thought it was familiar. I just forgot the name of it. That's interesting.
Yep.
Leave it up to a Monken to do the Lord's work. And get, by the way, if Army wins, I'm picking Army to do the Lord's work, folks, because if they win, you can kiss Notre Dame out the damn playoffs too. That'll be a nice little jump for Georgia, and just having to watch them two fall out would be nice. But it is what it is. It is what it is there. Moving on to the next matchup. This is interesting, folks. BYU taking on Arizona State and Tempe. The fighting Dillinghams and the Scatterbows, the Amish freight train versus BYU. But it's going to be an interesting one. Absolutely interesting there. The panel has spoken. Keon and Dan rolling with BYU. Everyone else, Brigade, Juan, Kobe, and myself, rolling with the Scatterbows and the Amish freight train. This is going to be a good one. I just get that feeling. Dan, I get that feeling.
I think so too.
All the way down to my plums. It's going to be a good one. I think that might low key be the best game of the week. And honestly, in the Big 12, you could literally see a situation where the winner of that game could be playing in the Big 12 championship as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that shakes up. In the meantime, move on to the SEC. Vanderbilt taking on LSU in Death Valley. LSU's kind of slipping, and Vanderbilt kind of the same way, but I think obviously we're looking at Vanderbilt as exceeding expectations by a mile. Star Wars also has BYU in there as well. The panel has spoken. Keon and Dan, again, rocking with LSU. Everyone else taking Vandy. I just think that LSU team looks like they're giving up. You've got a situation where if you're a lip reader, Brian Kelly's getting onto one of those receivers and just basically telling him he's, pardon my French, fucking uncoachable and things like that. It's a horrible look.
Yeah, it is.
That's a horrible look, and that's not what you need going into the back end of this schedule to end the season. It's not a good look. I've got Vanderbilt, like I said. We'll see what happens, but LSU desperately needs this win. They desperately need it. If not, Brian Kelly's the buyout might be too much, but there's going to be a lot of pissed off Cajuns. A lot. Next matchup in the SEC, Texas A&M. Going to Jordan-Hare, see if they can get that voodoo, that Jordan-Hare voodoo, taking on Auburn and Hugh Freeze. Harry says Kelly may have ripped his arse. That's good. The panel has spoken. A&M does not look past Auburn ahead of the Texas matchup the week after. This is if you really think about it, I want to pull this back up. This game is interesting because you could seriously see both teams looking ahead because of the matchups the week after. A&M hosts Texas. Auburn goes to Tuscaloosa. You see the logic. It's on the wall. I think A&M wins this game just purely based off the defense. Purely off of defense. Jordan-Hare, you better hope, A&M's better hope that they don't get struck by the voodoo because it's coming. Oh, that's bad. That's bad, Harry. So go Barners. That's disgusting. That's despicable. That is, sir, that is despicable. Anyways, we move on to the next one. Alabama traveling to Norman, Oklahoma to play the Oklahoma Sooners. If you would have asked me before the season,
right,
this game would be circled and it wouldn't even be close. This game would be a definite must watch. Just the stakes of it felt like it was a massive game, especially before the Iron Bowl. Whew. Yes, sir. Not so much right now.
Not so much.
Oklahoma has struggled, absolutely struggled. The panel has spoken. Alabama across the board. Don't necessarily see much of a. I think you have to rely on the defense. Maybe you get some receivers back if you're Oklahoma, but I just don't know if it's enough. I just don't feel confident in it. I really don't. Yeah, and here you go. Poor Venables, for sure.
This seems to me like a game that Alabama would love to put a number on Oklahoma.
I mean, maybe. But either way, I just – the game, the luster has worn off throughout the season, for sure.
100%.
Kentucky going to Austin to take on the Longhorns and Steve Sarkisian.
Non-competitive.
Oh, despicable shit there, Mark Stoops. The panel has spoken. Clean sweep for Texas. Listen, I will say this. Kentucky, if Kentucky plays their brand of football, I think they'll make it a physical game. I do think Texas wins. But there's also been situations where that offense is so anemic, you could just watch that defense get gas and it's bad.
Yeah,
it's not fun.
You're 100% right. That offense is so bad.
Is this what I think it is? Is that an endorsement for Kentucky, or are you just hoping on that?
I don't think anybody actually hates Kentucky, though. You know what I mean? Like, I don't hate
give a shit
Kentucky.
for
Like,
them.
when Brock went up there, I kind of wanted to see him do well, but whatever.
I mean, yeah, that was because it's Brock, not because it's Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm just saying I don't necessarily hate Kentucky football. Now, Kentucky basketball.
I mean, to be fair, I guess you're right, I suppose. Yeah, that's definitely hopium, as he said. Moving on to the next one. This is going to be interesting. Ole Miss going to the Swamp. Ole Miss not the greatest road team. Still on paper a lot more talented than this Gator team, but there's a X factor that I think could make this game a lot more interesting, and that, sir, is DJ Lagway. If Texas got away with not having to play DJ Lagway, I think it would have been an interesting game to see. But Ole Miss does not get to deal with that. They will have DJ Lagway to go up against. I think they make this a game. Let's see what the panel has spoken. Kobe is the only one going with the Gators. Everyone else going Ole Miss. DJ Lagway is going to be a really good quarterback. But that defensive line for Ole Miss, that shit's no joke. And on the road, that kind of stuff travels. If it travels, there you go. I will say this. They will need that defensive front to do the same thing they did against us, because I do think Florida has a competent run game and Lagway can distribute the ball. Now, the question is, can Florida's defense stop the offense for Ole Miss? That's the question for me. That's my question. But I think Ole Miss takes it away. Kobe's the only one. Swolders is the only one going Gators here. So, we'll see what happens here. We'll do this one quickly. UMass coming into Georgia, playing them Dogs. The panel spoken, and them Dogs is hell.
Yeah, we don't pick against them Dogs here.
Hardly ever. Let's do this since this was a quick one. You want to do a score prediction for this game, just for shits and giggles?
No, I'm terrible at it.
Alrighty then, I'll give one. I'm gonna say 48-7.
So they don't cover.
I don't trust Georgia to cover in these massive.
No, I don't
like
either. I like it. I like it.
Now, if we do cover, cool. Because that just tells me that Kirby said, I'm dropping my nuts. And to hell with the committee. You want to sit there and bump Bama up 3 spots for beating the shit out of Mercer. We'll do the same thing to UMass.
Listen, the number I've had in my head all week is 63-7. I just don't see Kirby doing it.
Listen, at the same time, if we can operate effectively on offense, just go down and score, not even try. Just shits and giggles there. But all right, here we go. Jaden's game of the week. Here we go, folks. Might surprise you. Iowa Hawkeyes going to Maryland and taking on the Maryland Terrapins. Listen, this is what happens when a 6-year-old gets to determine the game of the week. You might get a situation like this. And these graphics, you might be like, who the hell is this? Well, that's also because my son picks the graphics for his game of the week. So if you don't like it, if you're watching, get over it. I don't care. I just don't. Anyways, Iowa taking on Maryland. The panel has spoken. Juan and Jaden are rolling with the Terrapins. Everyone else rocking Iowa. For those that are new, a 6-year-old has been killing these game of the weeks, by the way. I think he may have missed 1 or 2 at most. So
that's why he has so many damn points without picking so many games right.
Yes. Definitely. So kind of backtrack here. 6-year-old was the only one to pick Bama beating Georgia. We got him back, though, because he picked Texas to beat Bama.
None of us were going to pick against Georgia.
I was thinking about it just to go with my son, and then I said, no, I'll be wrong with this. I'll die on it. But no, definitely doing good on these picks, man. Yeah, definitely doing good on these picks. Moving over to the locks of the week. This is interesting. Me and you, Dan, both got Ohio State covering the 13-point spread against Indiana. Keon has Georgia winning, but not covering the 42. So he's got Georgia winning the game, as that's the lock part of it. However, he has chosen not to let Georgia cover the 42. Kobe riding with Sam Pittman again. Kobe's got them over La Tech minus 22. And Juan has SMU over Virginia at minus 9.5. Decent little ups. And now we move on to teams that are on upset alerts. Upset alert. Keon and Kobe got the Gators over Ole Miss at a 10.5 point spread. Juan is rocking his Stanford as always. Got it right last week, though. This time they're taking on Cal. They are a 14-point dog. Dan, you've got BYU over Arizona State at a +3. I've got Duke, 7-3 Duke over Virginia Tech at +3 as well. For those that are curious, here's what the overall picks for the week are. And I'll share that graphic up here. Obviously powered by the Fans First Sports Network. As you can see that right there. Take a screenshot or however you feel. Yeah, overall, I feel like these games are interesting. A lot of picks went the same way here.
Yep, but the one closest to me is Kobe, and we have a couple games that are different. So he's either going to make up some ground, or I'm going to create some more separation.
That and
freaking Jaden keeps hitting threes from the corner.
Dude, he is Chef Curry at low-key Chef Curry with that shit, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Maryland hits, I'm gonna look at this, and if Maryland hits, I'm gonna be downright disgusted. I don't know what other way to do it. I'm gonna have to take his word and start going for logos. Just being honest. Yeah. So those are your DGD Pick'em Week 13 picks, and now for those who want to make some money, we give you our Week 13 best bets. So for those who are curious, we go 6 games, and then Jaden gets to pick 2. However, we let him pick as if it was a normal game. So these are all based off of money line, right? Keep it in mind. He's also hit a lot of these too, by the way. So just giving you food for thought there. We just let him do money line. Don't really want to get spreads. It gets confusing for him. So we just let him pick the game, if you will. So take it how you will on Jaden's picks. But we're going to show the graphic, and we're going to explain. For Jaden's picks, he's got Indiana. He's got Indiana over the Ohio State Buckeyes.
You let him do that.
Hey, there is no persuasion, sir. There is no persuasion. And like I said, I base it off of money line for him. However, if you feel the need to say that they're going to cover the spread, go for it. Right? Bet responsibly. And he's also got Notre Dame over Army. Right? Now, moving on to the best bets of the week, the 6 best bets, we've got Miami at minus 25. Buddy, Wake Forest, they're about to do some ungodly things to Wake Forest. Ungodly things to Wake Forest. We've got SMU at minus 9. This is at a 110, minus 110. You've got Alabama at minus 13.5, minus 110. Wisconsin money line, that is plus 110. You got West Virginia money line at plus 124, and then James Madison minus 7 at 110. So there are your best bets of the week. By the way, if you use our best bets and you get them right, let us know if you get them right, because we post these up on social media. So do yourself a favor. Let us know if you get some money. That way we can congratulate you using the best bets. Dan, that's the picks of the week. That's your best bets. Hopefully people can make some money. Also, listen, bet responsibly. Okay? We're adults here. Bet responsibly. Any final thoughts before we wrap up for the night, man?
No, man. I think we covered it all. Picks are locked in. It's time to do some work.
Yep, time to watch these games.
And the Dogs are 5-0, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball Dogs are 5-0.
Oh yeah, that's right. College basketball is in the books too. Absolutely.
Big weekend for the Dogs. They're going to Atlanta.
You got Marquette, don't you? Got Marquette
in St. John, or 2 ranked teams.
Okay, so you'll find out a lot about Ace and Newell.
Yeah, we're playing in Atlantis.
Okay, the Atlantis tournament.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So that'll be interesting. We'll see how they look coming out of it. Definitely, if you're interested in following Georgia hoops, That's your guy. Dan's your guy for that. Dan's your guy for that. With that being said, man, let's wrap things up for the show. Hopefully our picks get hit, right? I want to see us do well here. And then obviously, if you make some money, like I said, we'll look for us on social media, right? While you're at it, like, rate, review for the podcast. Find us, dgdpodcast.com. You can find us where to watch, where to listen. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, obviously on YouTube, everything like that too. Other than that, though, I have nothing left to talk about. I've ranted for so long. I think we're done for now. We will catch you back up for the UMass recap next week. Keep in mind, Thanksgiving holiday, so we will be probably announcing a show time for that for the Georgia Tech preview. Probably I'm feeling Wednesday. On that. Definitely don't want to put it on Thanksgiving. Can't do that. Black Friday is the game, so I don't want to do that either. So I think either Tuesday or Monday we'll have to have it figured out. Probably Wednesday though. With that being said, I'm Robert Reynolds. That's Dan Kiley. This is the DGD Podcast, powered by Fans First Sports Network. Have a great morning, evening, afternoon. See y'all later, and go Dogs.
Go Dogs.